Developers can't plan for everything.
Oh my god, das bist du.
Game development takes years, hundreds of people are working together to make a singular experience, and once they're out in the wild, it's our job as gamers to break them wide open. Here's some examples of that. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Gameranx, 20 things developers never planned for. Starting off with number 20, nothing stops the Doom guy. We're talking about Doom the Dark Ages here. It's so heavy metal, not even doors can get in your way. Forget key hunting or solving puzzles to unlock secrets. The Doom guy is so cool he can vibrate through doors a la The Flash. Seriously, players discovered this hilarious trick that all comes down to bumping into walls in a real specific way. And yeah, the trick works on consoles too. We know because we've got the footage. On PS5, all your Doomslayer has to do is gently rub into walls until he passes through them. We use the trick on locked doors, because that's what makes the most sense, of course. But there are downsides to this trick the developers have not patched out yet. And not just the downsides, but the trick itself, for whatever reason. First of all, if you're running at a measly, cowardly 60 frames per second, then your Doomslayer has to very slowly snuggle up to doors to slide through. Literally, it can take up to 5 minutes of humping a door to get through it. If you remember grunting as we pushed against every surface in the original Doom and Doom 2 looking for secrets, it's like that, but next level. To make the trick work, you gotta be at least 60 frames per second and slow-mo. You can activate permanent slow-mo by holding down the weapon wheel button and just never letting go of it. Then you have to slide into the wall at a very deliberate pace, not too fast, not too slow, and after way too many minutes, you'll pass through it like a ghost. If you're running a killer system on PC, you're pushing an even higher frame rate, you can zip straight through doors, walls, anything else. The higher your FPS, the faster you sneak past stuff. It's a totally non-metal way of moving forward or around the environment. But if you're sick of searching for purple secret keys, you know, this is one way to blaze a trail. Just remember to slide out if you get stuck. That's what she said. Right? She did not say that. And number 19, flying way too high in Schedule 1. Another silly but pretty easy developer oversight is the ability to straight up fly in Schedule 1. Just to repeat that and make it more clear, you can literally fly, like me, a bird. Falcon. I can fly because I'm actually a bird, and so can you in Schedule 1. This is also actually the easiest glitch on this list, which makes it extra funny that this goofy bug is still even in the game. By standing on a bench at any bus stop and jumping, you'll save up jumps, if that makes sense. You kind of charge, so to speak, and then you take off after stepping away in a magical display of your incredible drug dealer powers. As it turns out, drug dealers are basically fairies. I know none of us knew this ahead of time, but it's true. And no cop can catch you while you're busy committing sky crimes. At least until this early access game adds helicopters. If they had helicopters, we're screwed. It's generally one of the most fun tricks in any modern game. It's because it's just so weird. Of course, it comes from a weirdo indie wonder like Schedule 1. This is a trick anyone can do. You don't need patience at all. It's basically hard-coded in the game. First there was bunny hopping and Quake, then there was skiing on slopes and tribes. Now we're selling drugs and flying. Not on the drugs, but like literally through the air. Please, more dumb tricks like this in video games. Thank you. And number 18, millions of damage for Mael from Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Clair Obscur adds some hardcore parrying mechanics to your average JRPG battles. Totally new thing, but the not so new thing is making your characters so broken and overpowered that even mega super ultra secret bosses get crushed with single attacks. And, well, yeah. I'm not just talking breaking that boring 9,999 damage limit. This is going way beyond. Circling the galaxy, exploding into a supernova, and it's all thanks to Mael, a character that is meant to be broken, but not this broken. We're lucky and grabbed some footage of this trick before it got patched out. That is correct. It be gone. Basically, by sticking a ton of buffs on Mael, lots more debuffs on the enemy, and using Mael's most broken technique. I mean, she's so broken, even a recent patch hasn't stopped her from dishing out multi-million damage attacks.
Get out of this campus.
Normally, you're stuck dealing a maximum of 9,999, but in the late game, you gain a method for removing that barrier. Sure, we thought we'd be dealing 10,000, maybe 20,000 damage at most, but you start adding up those multiplied debuffs, start using super damaging attacks to multiply damage over and over. We were able to take out literally the second hardest boss in the game with a single Mael move. When you're fighting a boss that's meant to be broken, use broken attacks to beat her back. It's only fair.
Get out of this campus.
And number 17 is infinite prestige points at the start of Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. It's a trick so simple it seems kind of unbelievable it was overlooked. Also that we missed it too. Reporter Frank West doesn't have to fight through armies of the undead to unlock all of his abilities and level up. He can do it from the safety of the prologue. Other games might try to stop you from becoming overpowered at the start, but Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster is all about replicating the original experience, and the original experience was also broken. To pull this trick off, simply play through the opening prologue up to the point where Frank drops into the mall. Going downstairs, you find survivors blocking up the front doors and a horde of zombies waiting to get inside. Before progressing the game and collecting materials for the barricade, you can mill around, do nothing, look around the lobby, or even start taking pictures. Pictures of the zombie horde earn you thousands of PP per pick, or PPPP, which is enough to level up multiple times.
Bring back anything we can use for the barricade. Got it? You know, benches, shelves, that sort of thing.
Perfect.
There should be plenty of that stuff deeper in the mall here.
Each picture can take a few seconds, sure, but that's not a long time. You can keep doing it as long as you want, too. You got a captive audience, so why not hit max level before the game even starts?
Now go! We gotta keep those zombies out of the mall!
Perfect.
And number 16 is Drowning Dragons and Dragon's Dogma 2. The developers at Capcom anticipated your dirty tricks in this game. There's so many weird items in this game that exist solely to prevent your entire game from being ruined. Like this special stone that revives an entire town that gets nuked by a bad pawn RNG. But there's no item to prevent this extremely silly trick. The most evil enemies in this game are the drakes. They're mini dragons that are really difficult. They're just not worth fighting for the most part. But if you're excited to start collecting the rare materials, dragons drop, you can use one trick the developers aren't. Well, I doubt that they could have anticipated it. Dragons might be able to fly, but they can't escape Davy Jones' locker. Any enemy, even one that has wings and can fly, will die instantly if they fall into the water. So luring a drake into the water, I mean, it's not as easy as it sounds, and carefully lining yourself up with the edge is a surefire way to get knocked in yourself, but with a little practice, this dirty trick is hilariously possible. It's so funny watching a big monster with piles of health get wrecked so viciously by the brine. The brine is a kind of monster in the water that consumes anything that falls in. You'll get one freebie death if you drop. Monsters do not get this same courtesy, of course, so blocking attacks or nudging them over a ledge with an attack is a good way to efficiently earn XP. No, you won't get any materials because they fall into the sea, but you do reap the XP rewards. And the funniest thing is seeing monsters that should be able to fly eat so much dirt. They fall like friggin' stones. It's so nice putting a monster down easily for once. And number 15 is getting double the runes in Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. One of the weirdest tricks in Elden Ring makes earning runes real easy, and you don't have to even kill anything. Instead, the game kills all the enemies for you. And if you're playing it right, you'll earn even more runes thanks to a mechanic we didn't know existed. So the trick's found in the raw instant ruins east at the big giant bridge. It's reachable through the Shadow Keep. At the big bridge, there's a whole lot of lame weaklings milling around doing not much. These boring fodder enemies they're not worth cutting down, but we don't really have to thanks to this gigantic furnace golem. These mega bad guys pop up on certain sections of the map. They're some of the most evil enemies in the game. They are so overwhelmingly powerful that a lot of players didn't even realize they could be defeated. But here's hoping you didn't defeat it, because they stay dead permanently. If your Furnace Golem is still alive, you can use it to earn thousands and thousands of runes per minute. So approaching the bridge from the checkpoint, you'll see the big golem lower its head and prepare to launch a killer fireball swirl, basically like a fire tornado if it's facing you. Normally this is an oh crap moment where you desperately try to dodge. Don't. And instead run back to the checkpoint and rest exactly as the fireball passes through the low-level weaklings. If you time things just right, you'll earn runes for killing the group of enemies twice. Once for the initial group, and once for the second group that respawns while there's a giant furnace fireball in the middle of them. It's a hilarious trick that only gets stronger if you wait until night. Randomly, some enemies exponentially drop more runes at night, for whatever reason, and you can use this spot for some super easy rune farming. And number 14, becoming Neo with the right perk in Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is just too good for Ubisoft to have planned it. It's that simple. There's a Tanto at the start of the game that turns Nawe into an unstoppable killing machine that turns even the hardest difficulty into a total joke. Why? Because you can't hit what you can't touch. Nawe, our ninja, becomes Neo with a hidden weapon called the Igan Sunset that's found in the very first area of the game. You start in Azumi Sitsu at your HQ, and the enemy camp we want is just to the north at a spot called Tozuku's Lair. Clear the place, loot the chest, and get our special weapon. Now, it isn't the weapon itself that is so good, it's a legendary perk engraved into the weapon that we want. Acquire the escape strike ability in the Tanto weapon skill tree, and you can activate slow-mo after every escape strike. Like I said, this essentially turns you into Neo from the Matrix. You'll move at perma slow-mo speed, dodging effortlessly through enemies and performing super easy kills. You can activate the escape strike, which is basically a little dodge move thing at any time, so your slow-mo never has to stop. Other engravings might sound a lot better, but this is the only one you're ever going to need. The only thing you'll need after earning this weapon is patience, because now every fight it's slow, let's say. The developers definitely nerfed it, though. It's not nearly as good now, but it's still a fun weapon that activates seemingly at random instead of all the time. And number 13, create your own army in Pal World. It's gone through some changes. Biggest oversight has nothing to do with stolen IP or Pokeballs, blah, blah, blah. Nintendo can suck it on that. You guys know I love me some Nintendo, but a big wrestling suck it to them on Pal World. If you have the spooky little guy Daydream, you can create an entire mini army of angry diet Pokemon. The Daydream's key item necklace allows you to summon an extra Daydream and stand outside and fight with you, but doesn't stop at one. You can summon 2, 3, 4 at the same time. Way more pals than you normally have watching your back and ambushing other pals. Basically, you can have an entire army of very little guys going nuts. Sure, you can give some pals guns anyways. We're talking quantity over quality here. Here, enjoy this psychic barrage, because you can absolutely wreck anything in your way with so many Daydreams. And as an added bonus, any passive buffs carried by the Daydreams you summon and let hang out with you outside of their pal balls will also be applied to your character, so you can possibly gain quadruple buffs by using an item nobody thought would be used this way. Is this intended? Is this a bug? We don't really know, but it's great. And number 12 is the Bucket Big Heist from Starfield. We've already talked about big, giant donut-shaped ships in Starfield, but this is somehow even more absurd. If you thought enemies that target the middle of a ship, even when there's nothing there, was a silly trick, then this thievery method is pretty dang good too. It isn't as funny as dumping a bucket on an NPC's head, but it has its own charm. Using a waste bucket, one of the most common items in the game, you can create a receptacle for stealing away valuable guns and any other items that aren't nailed down. Anything on display is fair game. Normally you'd be fined immediately for stealing an item, but you can gently nudge display items into the bucket and carry it away, all while in full view of the store vendors. They don't care as long as you don't pick up the stuff. This is a weird physics trick that the developers couldn't consider, and it's one way to get around a different trick. At launch, by finding the right exact spots in the ground at certain vendors, players could access the shop inventories and rob them blind. The actual shop inventory crates turned out to be just under the mat floor, and unfortunately, to stop everybody from having, I guess, too much fun in their game, Bethesda patched the crates so they're a few centimeters further down so you can't reach them anymore. Like, you guys, you understand why people play your games, right? It's not because they're not janky messes that we can exploit, Bethesda.
I can't wait for the next run. It's gonna be one to remember.
May runs a tidy establishment. Let's keep it that way.
And number 11 is a handful of magic dice, or die, or whatever. Most of the time you're struggling to survive in the realistic world of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Your lowly character has to fight for every coin and scrap of food you get. It's a game where you start with nothing. You're literally stuck in your underwear and it only gets worse from there. There's a way to completely break the game, though, and all you need are some magic dice. Dice is a game of chance you can play all over the fictional historical version of Bohemia, but if you want to become unbeatable, you can collect a full hand of dice called St. Antiochus's die. Normally these dice are so rare you only ever find one, but if you pickpocket and loot the right spots, you'll get a full hand. What makes this dice so special? Because every roll has a 100% chance of getting a 3. As long as you have multiple dice to roll, you will always get magic numbers with these dice, so you'll always increase your score, so you'll always win every single time. It's a hilarious trick that makes earning cash trivial, and it's all thanks to a set of holy dice you were never meant to find. And number 10, never stop jumping from Sonic 06. One of the funniest exploits comes from one of the most broken games ever. This is a trick the developers absolutely didn't plan for because the game was released in such an unfinished state, one of the core mechanics of the game didn't work. The purple gem is a power-up that shrinks Sonic into a tiny hedgehog and lets him jump forever. That's it. It's an item that is busted and completely breaks the game, and it makes everything after this trivial. Sonic can just jump forever while shrunken down in size, and there's a reason for this. Every gem has an energy meter. In a normal game, these energy meters would do something normal, like deplete when you're using them. But you see, in Sonic 06, it has a special way of doing. It's a special game. Nothing makes sense in it. For whatever reason, the developers simply never programmed the energy bars so they deplete when using gems. So the purple gem never depletes. Sonic can just keep jumping for as long as you have the fingers to press jump. That's the entire exploit, and it speaks for itself. Look at the little small guy go. And number 9, blowing up Balthazar. In Baldur's Gate 3, one of the most evil boss encounters in the game appears in Act 2, the Necromancer. Balthazar is a tough fight where you're dropped into a dangerous arena with a powerful wizard and fight a small army of skeletons in the perfect position to ambush your party. In earlier versions of the game, players wouldn't initiate the fight right away, leading to some fun exploits you could use against Balthazar to make the fight easier, but later patches totally erased any schemes you could pull on this guy pre-boss battle, except not. While the new boss battle begins as soon as any member of your team lands in the weird big arena, there is another trick you can pull that's more effective. Just blow him up. You'll encounter Balthazar in a friendlier way much earlier in the dungeon, where he's holding up with his gang of skeletons. To get rid of this undead freak the easy way, you can stack a pile of barrels in his arena, especially if you've been stockpiling since the Shattered Sanctum all the way back in Act 1, which I did. But use this trick, and even the weakest party can wipe out one of the hardest bosses. And of course, it's the one trick the developers actually did plan for. Pulling off dumb stuff like this is exactly what they want you to do. There's so many contingencies for purposefully breaking the game. This one, they just can't patch it out. And number 8 is driving up a wall in Battlefield 2042, a spectacularly broken game on release. All you have to do is look at all the hovercrafts driving up the sides of skyscrapers, and you'll get it. And one of the weirdest, funniest physics bugs in a Battlefield game, players use hovercrafts to skip the elevator and raid the tops of skyscrapers. Weirdly, in this game, everyone could call down their own personal vehicles, and everyone had a hovercraft. So hovercrafts they'd seriously clutter up the map in these early games. They're mostly useless, they look stupid, and they had a giant profile that made them the perfect target for tanks and every other armament in the game. But if you found just the right skyscraper, you could just drive right up.
Hostile presence on Bravo 2. From bad to worse.
The hovercraft sticks onto the side like it's magnetized, and you'll need the very slight incline to make the speed overcome the weird way this game calculates gravity. It's a bizarre gameplay loop where players would just drive or deploy vehicles directly onto skyscrapers and defend them in this very silly simulacra of future warfare that was absolutely unintended. And number 7 is cheating the final test in Super Mario Wonder. This ends with one of the most evil levels in video games. The final test unlocks after beating every challenge and finding every collectible, and it's still a huge pain in the plumber's crack. This challenge level runs Mario through a gauntlet of difficult obstacle courses using every special medal in the game, and it saves the worst for last. At the very end, Mario is completely invisible, and you have to jump across a bottomless pit filled with balloons. This challenge would have been cruel on a level all by itself, but it's at the end of potentially hours of brutal gameplay. If Nintendo isn't going to play fair, we aren't going to play fair either. So to overcome this challenge, players discovered you could connect a second controller to activate the couch co-op mode. Unless you have 4 hands, that doesn't seem super useful until you see this little pointer showing which character is on which account. That pointer essentially nullifies one of the hardest challenges in any video game. Now you can see Mario. You'll also probably want to ditch Mario and play with Yoshi. His flutter jump makes recovering from mistakes a lot easier. Combine those 2 tricks, and an impossible level becomes aggressively possible. And number 6, Unleash the Heavenly Barrage in Tears of the Kingdom, a game that challenges players to get creative with their weirdo solutions. We don't really think hunting monsters with chickens is what they had in mind, though. Ever since the old games, Cuckoos would swarm Link if he tried to attack them. It was a fun little punishment designed to correct players that got a little too violent with the cute creatures in town. Cuckoos return in both Zelda Switch games. They'll swarm Link if he keeps attacking, just like before, but there's a crucial difference with these ones. You can pick them up and you can throw them at enemies, and if an enemy manages to damage one, they'll get the same treatment as Link. An army of chickens will spawn out of nowhere and start attacking from all angles. This can be used against regular big monsters or against actual bosses if you're patient enough to carry a Cucco all the way out of Hateno Village. Hateno, and whatever. I've been there more than enough times to not care. I don't know, this is a fun little weird trick you're never really meant to use. And number 5, breaking the training course in Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. The training course in this game is meant to be impossible. There's no way to run through the course, shoot all the targets, beat the best score on the board. If you want to win, you gotta cheat. And players found a way to completely bust open the silly little challenge for no good reason. Just because we could, I guess. To conquer the course, you'll have to use the diesel craftwork weapon to remotely detonate explosives before the course even begins. That means searching the course for pop-up targets and pre-placing those bombs before the timer begins. Once that's set, you also want to equip the constrictor gear that allows BJ to crawl under a wall of torpedoes, skipping through a section of the track and getting even faster times. The developers didn't think we'd take the challenge so personally, but there's a leaderboard, right? So that's just going to happen. And number 4 is the Goomba ladder in Mario 64. This trick's so friggin' wild, we're not sure a developer could even explain it, much less planned for it. One of the more impressive Mario 64 speedrunners is Scott Buchanan, a guy that beats levels without jumping. Might not sound that impressive, but if you've played Mario 64, you know it is a game that you have to. I mean, Mario used to be called freaking Jumpman. Damn it. The guy jumps everywhere. If Doom Guy interacts with the world with a gun, Mario jumps. Okay? He has to jump. So for these runs to work, players have to invent inexplicable strings of glitches, and for one run, they invented the Goomba ladder. By wearing a wing cap twice and grabbing a bob-omb just as it explodes in a frame-perfect way, Mario will have a vacant item slot in his hands. Basically, he's holding nothing and can now grab nearby Goombas and start cloning them. It's all part of the Super Mario 64 cloning method. That's so complicated, I'm not going to try to explain it. Just know that you could conceivably create a ladder out of Goombas by cloning them, and you could reach any star on the map this way. It's not just about jumping, though. It's about breaking the fundamental physics of the game, specifically. And number 3 is Alt F4 till you drop in Hitman 3. One of the biggest controversies to come out of Hitman 3's community is related to a trick that seems totally reasonable. In the game's roguelike freelancer mode, you're forced to complete multiple missions in a row before you can progress, turning a simple run of assassinations into a lengthy slog, much like this video. This mode is also very, very difficult, and it forces Hitman fans to play Agent 47 in a very different way when you don't have quick saves to fall back on. And that's where the Alt F4 glitch comes in. Normally, quitting in the middle of a campaign causes 47 to fail the current mission, but if you press Alt F4 to quit, you'll simply exit like normal without failing. It's very useful for us gross adults that have doctor appointments and financial planning advisors to see. Of course, this incredibly useful exploit was quickly patched out of the game, and the community went wild. The decision to remove this was so deeply unpopular, the developers were forced to put the glitch back in as a feature. That's one problem developers really never planned for, but they made it right in the end. The trick even works on console. Simply close application, your progress won't be saved. It's the only way to play this mode. And number 2, stealing the Pelican in Halo Infinite. This game gives Master Chief an open-world sandbox to explore, but it takes the keys away from the alien killing machine. Whenever you fast travel to a new location or call down a vehicle, your Pelican buddy will drop it off, and the Pelican, it's a big vehicle that's existed since the original games, but you can't fly it in Halo Infinite, and we really want to. So players figured out a way to make it happen. By calling down the Pelican and very, very rapidly getting back on top of it before it escapes, you can take control of the rarest vehicle in the Halo universe. You'll have to press the usual button for commandeering vehicles, even if it doesn't show up, and you'll have to pull some tricky stuff like turning off the game to create a checkpoint. But if you follow a very specific set of steps and do it really, really fast, you can fly the Pelican around like a real vehicle. Not that there's any real reason to. I mean, you could have just played Halo Reach and done it that way. Probably should have done it that way too. And finally, at number 1, the sandbag offense in Command & Conquer. In the old games, the enemy AI would basically ignore sandbags that you built. They'd always try to avoid them instead of attacking like a normal human player would. It was a weird quirk of the AI that was to your advantage. It could easily crush every campaign level. Sun Tzu would never conceive of a military strategy as effective as this. Instead of sending out soldiers and playing the game as it's meant to be played, all we do is create a wall of sandbags. Each sandbag increases your buildable territory and takes power with it, so you can extend your base indefinitely with just sandbags. Like, create a path straight to the enemy base and start plopping down defense turrets right in the middle of the Soviet defenses. They'll focus extensively on building more soldiers to fight back, which they don't stand a chance against even the most basic defensive structures. The trick makes the campaign trivial. If only the military commanders of the world knew this simple strategy, they would win every battle. Maybe then we would finally have peace. That's all the stuff that we're including in this one. Any tricks we missed? Any things developers never planned for that came to your mind? Leave us a comment. Let's talk about it. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. Click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and put me on Cameo @FalconHero. We'll see you next time right here on Gameranx.